Hey, thanks for clicking in. This is Amy McGruddy, your premier real estateologist, bringing you another fabulous video about Florida. So this video is about retiring to Florida. So if you're thinking about retiring to Florida, watch this video first. I'm going to talk about all of the fabulous things about retiring to Florida and some of the other things that you should watch out for if you're thinking about retiring to Florida or any other state. Use this as a checklist, but since so many people retire to Florida, I figure let me do it on Florida. And since I work in Florida, let's talk about Florida. So, thanks for clicking in. I'm Amy McGruddy, your premier real estateologist. I am a retired real estate attorney. For 30 years, I practiced law, and 15 of them in Miami, approximately 15 of them in Fort Lauderdale. And now I am selling real estate, residential, commercial, multifamily, industrial. So if you're thinking about buying or selling residential or commercial property in Florida, hit me up. You see where my contact information is here. Google me on the internet. You can contact me. I'm not hidden anywhere. So let's get out of the office into the streets and let me share this research with you so that you can make sure that you're relocating to Florida and taking the right steps in doing so. Maybe you look at the list and maybe when you're finished, you'll say, you know what? I don't want to go to Florida. Maybe the winters look good to me, or maybe Arizona looks good to you, or California. But I love Florida. I hope you do too. And I'm going to start with the top benefits of moving to Florida. So the number one benefit, of course, most of the people that come here for this reason, the weather. The weather is just fabulous. We have 230 days of sunshine from all of the statistics that I've read on average. We get some rainy days, we get some hurricanes every now and then, but overall, it's just a fabulous place to live if you enjoy outdoor activities like swimming and biking and tennis and pickleball. What else? I mean, anything you think of. We even have an ice skating rink down here in Fort Lauderdale, so if you're from the Northeast and you really love ice skating and you don't want to let it go, we have a rink. Plus, we have the Florida Panthers that are doing pretty good, huh? So, yeah, outdoor living. Oh, golfing. That's the other thing that people move to Florida. One of the primary reasons. We have lots of golf courses down here. Golf course communities, equestrian communities. It's definitely an outdoor focus down here. There's really very little need to stay inside because there is zero snow. Every once in a while, in the winter, we might get frost, but that's probably like, I don't know, once or twice a decade, and it'll burn off in about 15 minutes in the morning. So the extent of winters in Florida it gets maybe in the 30s if it's extreme. That's Fahrenheit. Or up to the 70s. It's commonly like in the 70s Fahrenheit during the day in Florida. Sometimes it'll get in the 50s at night. Very rarely it'll get in the 30s. If it does, it'll be just for like a couple of days. So Florida winters are pretty easy and they're actually quite fabulous. That's when Floridians like me get to take out the leather jacket or the jean jacket or the long sleeves. So the boots, because we don't get to wear them otherwise very often. No snow, no winter coats. So don't pack your winter coats. Leave them at somebody's house up north. When you go visit, you can use it. Right? Okay, so that's it. The weather. Number one fabulous part of, look at that shadow. Number one fabulous part of retiring to Florida. Number two is there's no state income tax. So your Social Security benefits, your pension, retirement income, it's tax-free. So that's good. If you're working and you get a job, there's no sales tax taken out of your checks, just federal. So it's one of the few states, I think there are 9 states in the United States where there's no income tax, and Florida is one of them. The other fabulous thing, number 3, wonderful thing about living or retiring to Florida is that there are a lot of 55 plus communities with active lifestyles. 55 is not that old, but if you want to live in a 55 plus community, just to be near your tribe, with people with the same interests, not have kids running around very often except when the grandkids are coming over, then that's wonderful. And there are so many of them down here. I think it's one of the birthplaces of the 55 plus community. The other nice thing about the 55 plus community is that it's low maintenance. There is usually an association, whether it's in a condo or single family homes in a homeowner association. Those fees are generally quite budget friendly, and you don't have to mow the lawn, paint the house. Some of them even take care of the roof every certain number of years. Each 55 plus community will have different perks of living there, but there are a lot down here. I mean, from Delray Beach to the Villages to Miami. And the 55 plus communities are usually pretty focused on our lifestyles and the things we want for amenities. You know, you're not going to see, I don't know, whatever the courts are that we used to do when we were like in our 20s and 30s. You're going to see pickleball, tennis, you know, more geared down physical activities, gyms, of course, for us. You see us, clue, I'm over 55. You can't tell from my neck. Anyway. But yeah, and you'll socialize with your tribe, basically. I mean, you know, I say my tribe, you know, tell me what music you listen to in 11th grade, and then we'll know if we're like from the same generation. I think that there was a study that I read that said there are 3.5 million retirees in South Florida. So that's a lot of people that you can find like-minded individuals. Maybe you want to start dating again if you're single. Clubs, classes, and all kinds of resources designed for people over 55. According to the research that I did, Florida has the most retirement communities than any other state. So those retirement communities offer low maintenance homes, clubhouses, pools, golf courses, and pretty much built-in social networks. It could be from Century Village condo life, a little 1-1 condo, to a single family home in a 55 plus community, to condos on the beach. There are just every type of 55 plus community down here, and quite a lot. So the fourth fabulous part about retiring to Florida is that there's great access to top-notch healthcare. Florida ranks high in senior healthcare infrastructure because people have been retiring to Florida for years. I mean, my grandparents retired to Florida. And I'm not that young, you know what I mean? It's been a retirement spot ever since we've had air conditioning, pretty much. I don't think anybody wanted to live here before then. So yeah, there are renowned hospitals down here: Cleveland Clinic, Baptist Health, University of Miami, Jackson Memorial, more fabulous hospitals in Palm Beach County, in Tampa, and Orlando. So you're really never far from good medical care. And we have to think about that when we're in our retirement years. The fifth fabulous part about retiring to Florida is the coastal beauty and recreation. It's kind of redundant, but I just want to remind you that our Atlantic Ocean is quite beautiful, quite calming, and why not live on the beach or near the beach and get that ocean vibe? I personally love to be down here because I like the fishing and the boating and the long walks on the beach. That's my jam. So if that's your jam, if you like boating and fishing, the waters are very user-friendly. And it's just beautiful. Whether you're on the East Coast, the West Coast, or in the Keys, you have options. Now, the sixth thing that I like about retiring to Florida is the diverse lifestyle options. So you can go from urban luxury to quiet suburbs to the island life. You can go from Boca, Fort Lauderdale, Miami, urban luxury to quiet suburbs of Wellington, Loxahatchee, Boynton Beach, Lake Worth Beach, or the island life down to the Keys, or even over to the West Coast, Naples, up north to Amelia Island. Beautiful, beautiful places with quite the gamut, right? From luxury to urban to suburbs to island life. So we have it all. We've got coastal, equestrian, rural, or cosmopolitan. And of course, this diversity in lifestyle is also reflected by the people that live here. And that's one of the things I love about South Florida, the diversity and the different foods and the different cultures and the different music. It's really great. Let's see, the other seventh fabulous part about retiring to Florida is the proximity to travel hubs. We have seaports down here where cruises go in and out, if that's your jam, from Key West to Fort Lauderdale to Miami to Tampa to Jacksonville. And we have fabulous international airports too. Miami, Fort Lauderdale, Tampa, Orlando. Really great access to travel hubs, because if you're retiring down here, I'm guessing your entire family's not coming with you. So, and you want to go back and visit. You may even want to go back to a more temperate climate in the summer, because the summers are tough down here. The eighth fabulous thing about living or retiring in Florida is that you get the homestead tax exemption. You can sometimes get a senior citizen tax exemption as well, over 65. I don't know what's required to get the over 65 exemption. There's widow and widower exemptions on your real estate tax bill we're talking about. So, like the Florida homestead tax can reduce your appraised value, your assessed value of your house by $50,000. So if the property tax assessor values your house, I'm going to pick a round number at $500,000, you won't pay tax on $500,000, you'll pay tax on $450,000 with the homestead tax exemption, and then based on the millage rate. There's also a Save Our Homes cap down here, so once you move in, you buy the house, it's only going to increase a certain amount. I think it's 3% max year over year when you're in the house. So it can't, all of a sudden your tax bill cannot double if you have the homestead exemption, if it's your primary residence. If it's commercial property, things can happen. Okay, so those are the fabulous things about retiring to Florida or even moving to Florida. Now, the top mistakes. I want to talk about the top mistakes that people make when they're retiring to Florida. The first is that they fail to understand the cost of living in desirable areas. So even though Florida has no state income tax, housing in the coastal cities can be expensive. So, right now, finding anything under $500,000 is very difficult. Your average price, while Fort Lauderdale is probably $750 and up. So, but that's coastal. You can go inland, you can get different deals, but still, it's a high cost of living down here, and it's a high cost at this time to acquire property as well. And then people, when they come down, they're often surprised by the cost of insurance. Insurance is very expensive, and it's been an issue over the past 3 or 4 years. It's starting to level out now, but insurance ain't cheap. And then condo association fees or homeowner association fees, you need to look at those budgets. You need to look at whether assessments are coming. You need to look at what the budget requires as far as maintenance, what the payroll is, and all the items on the budget. I made another video about condominiums, or 2 videos, I think. So that goes into kind of more detail, budgetary detail, but you definitely should work with a realtor when you're shopping for property down here. And if you're looking at any property in a condo, co-op, or homeowner association, you need to examine the budgetary issues very closely so that you're not surprised and have your homeowner association fee go up too much. That's been happening lately, especially for properties near the ocean. The second thing that people don't consider is sometimes they'll just buy too quickly without exploring the neighborhoods first. So, many retirees will come down here on vacation, fall in love with wherever they are before spending time in the area during different seasons. Maybe you come down to Fort Lauderdale and you're like, oh my God, I love it here. I'm going to live here right on the beach. But if you come down and maybe hit Miami, Palm Beach, take different vacations at different places and see where you really want to land so that you don't end up buying property and then trying to sell it in a year or two, because that short of a hold period is going to be pretty tight and pretty hard for you to even break even. So explore the area before you invest in real estate. And also come down at different seasons, because the vibe in July is very different from the vibe in January in Florida. And actually, if it's possible for you to rent for a year before committing to buying real estate, I recommend that, truly. Now, the other part that you got to watch out for in Florida before investing, it's kind of redundant because I kind of mentioned it, but do not ignore the flood zones and the insurance costs. So Florida has both flood-prone areas and hurricane risks. Those are our big things, right? You come from California, Northern California, then your earthquake risk. Everybody's got a different risk. You come from the middle of the country, then your risk is hailstorms and tornadoes. So we don't have any of those things yet, hopefully. Just a hurricane now and then. I was born and raised in Miami, and then raised in New York, and then I've been back to South Florida since 1986, I think I came back. And all of these years, all of this time I've spent in Florida and the Keys and Miami and Fort Lauderdale, I could probably count on one hand all the hurricanes I've been through. Now, one hurricane's pretty scary, but it's really not that bad. The news media kind of makes more of it for 2 weeks when it's on its way than it really is. Just, be smart, do what you can do, but hurricane insurance is quite pricey. Some people go bare, that's your call. But explore that. What's the cost? And flood insurance too. Flood insurance hasn't really been floods actually have not been an issue generally in South Florida where I've lived, but over the past few years, we did get a couple of 1,000-year floods, or 1,000-year flood. But I'm kind of seeing king tides more, so the water level does seem to be rising. And if you're borrowing money or getting a mortgage, the lender might require you to have flood, hurricane, and hazard insurance. So it's 3 different policies that you need to get. So see what those costs are before you make the investment. So, and just look at those flood maps and make sure you budget for windstorm, flood, and hazard insurance so that you're not surprised later. And also check the houses or properties, condos that you're looking at and see if they have hurricane impact windows or hurricane shutters, or whether you're going to have to invest in some 3/4 inch plywood just to be hurricane ready. So even though all of us Floridians are like, oh God, whatever, hurricanes are no big deal, they aren't, but we always prepare. It's a lot of work to prepare. You'll get more annoyed with preparing for hurricanes that don't come, but better safe than sorry. So the other thing that you want to make sure that you don't make this mistake is don't choose the wrong lifestyle fit. And remember, Florida offers beach towns, rural areas, acreage, cosmopolitan cities, 55 plus communities, and more. So there are a lot of choices on how and where you're going to live. So just really examine that, have a talk with yourself, and make sure you choose the right lifestyle. Some retirees will pick a place that looks great on paper, but it doesn't align with how they actually want to live day by day. So, another factor to consider. The other thing to make sure of if you're retiring to Florida is to establish your residency properly. So if you want to get that homestead tax exemption, you got to change your license to Florida. It has to be your primary residence to get homestead tax exemption. You have to change your voter registration at least, if you're going to spend at least 183 days a year down here. So in order to get those Florida resident benefits, you're going to have to give up some of your identity from where you're moving from, which is really a driver's license and a voter's registration card. So no big deal, but make sure you do it. The other thing that people make mistakes on is they misjudge the heat and the humidity down here, especially in the summer. It gets hot. Winters are paradise, but summers can be brutally hot and humid. Some retirees who come down and visit in February and during the holiday seasons, they struggle when July and August and September come around. It's super hot. But remember, we have air conditioning. And remember, drink your water. But yeah, because the humidity often tops 80%. And don't forget too, in your budget in the summer months, your air conditioning bill will probably almost double, if not double. Because we're cranking that air up, baby. So those Florida power and light bills can spike. And if you're sensitive to heat and it's really not your jam, then Florida may not be your jam. Unless you want to be a snowbird and come down only in the winter. That's perfect. We'd love that. So then the other thing before you move to Florida, and if you have healthcare issues or needs, you need to make sure you're moving to an area of Florida that has the healthcare infrastructure that you need. Because not every part of Florida has top tier hospitals nearby. South Florida, yes, we have it. But if you're going down to Key West, maybe not, because there's only a hospital in Marathon, I think, and Key Largo. So if you're in Key West, you're 50 miles from the nearest hospital. You're on an island, pretty much. So if you need some pretty robust access to healthcare, maybe the Keys aren't for you. Maybe you want to do Miami, Fort Lauderdale, Orlando, or Tampa. If you're living in a rural area, just think about that, because it might be harder to find the specialists or get the procedures that you need. So let's see, the other thing to think about if you're retiring to Florida is meet with a Florida attorney and make sure that your estate planning documents are set up correctly. If all your assets now shift over to Florida, then you need to comply with the Florida laws where the assets are located as far as estate planning goes. If you have some assets in Florida and some assets in another state, perhaps where you live now, you still need to see the attorney and the estate planning person in the state where you're currently living, and also Florida, to make sure nothing gets caught in the cracks. And we're talking about wills, trusts, long-term care. How about Medicaid eligibility? Medicare, when you move, you have to change a lot of things, so just be mindful of that. The other thing that you have to be careful of or be mindful of if you retire to Florida is just know, I think I was born in Miami, so it was a little slow, and then I went to New York and I got fast, and then I came back. When I came back, it was driving me crazy how slow the checkout lines went and how slow people are. It's just a fact. For New Yorkers, get ready to slow it down. But don't believe that everything is going to be slower and cheaper, because it's not. Florida's not just shuffleboard and sunshine, baby. We have traffic, we have tolls, we have tourists, we have crowds in many areas. So don't think you're just coming down here to, I don't know, sit on the beach under a palm tree, because it's there. We have cities, we have traffic, we have tourists, we have all the things that you probably have where you live now. When you have a lot of people, you have a lot of issues, but it's easy. And while there's plenty of affordable living, some places are priced like, let's say, Manhattan with palm trees. Seriously. Oh, that would be Manalapan. That's a beautiful place. But yeah, so everything is not necessarily cheaper than where you come from, especially my California people. So number 10 thing to watch out about when retiring to Florida is, don't assume that it's a fit just because everybody else is doing it. Maybe your neighbors or some friends that you've had retired down to Florida years ago. Maybe they went to Naples and they love it, and you went and visited them and you had a great time. And now you go and you get a place in Naples only to find out, this is really not my jam 7 days a week. So again, just don't assume it's a fit. Check it out, maybe even rent for a year, and watch your budget. Pay attention to what your interests truly are. Like if you're a big hunter from the north and you're gonna come down here and move to Fort Lauderdale and think you're gonna get some hunting in, it ain't gonna happen. We just don't have that much real estate. Now you might move to North Florida where there are hunting camps and things like that. You're gonna have different things to hunt in Florida too. We don't have the same, I don't even think we have deer. I guess we do, but they're really small. They're different deer than New York or Massachusetts or Wyoming. So just don't think that you're just going to transplant your lifestyle here and just resume your activities. They might be tweaked just a little different because of the regional differences. So consider your own interests, your budget, your support system, and your daily lifestyle needs. So those are really like the fabulous things about retiring to Florida and the things you should think about before you make that investment. So at the end of the day, Florida can be paradise, but it's not for everyone. So knowing what to expect helps you choose the right area, the right home, and the right lifestyle. So if you're thinking about retiring to Florida, hit me up. Call me, WhatsApp me, email me, whatever way you want to contact me, and I'm happy to help you go through the questions and the concerns that you have or should have. And we can just talk about it too. So I'd love to help you find your perfect spot or see if this is your perfect spot. So comments below would be great. If you're thinking about moving here, let me know what town in the comments, and I'll research it, and then maybe we can get on a call and see if it's for you. So yeah, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell so you don't miss any future videos about life in Florida, local communities, and real estate tips just for you. Once again, I thank you for your time, and I wish you adieu, and peace.